Joining me to talk about the challenges of growing a democratic society is Paul Ndiho, who is an analyst based here in Washington, D.C. Welcome very much to In Focus, Mr. Ndiho.
Thank you for having me.
Now, first, as you heard in the story, one of the lines that has been playing over and over is that Kenya has for many years been the most stable country in Africa. Now, in your analysis, what led to these events? Apart from the disputed elections, why did the country get where it is today?
First of all, let me say that right now the people of Kenya are hoping against hope. It's a race against time. So what is happening right now, it's an election gone bad. And people who are not satisfied with the election decided to take matters into their hands because they weren't satisfied with the election.
But now that dispute has gone beyond the elections now. We are seeing ethnic animosities playing out. What happened?
I think the political leadership here has failed to step up and maybe play a leadership role because of the fact that they have allowed their groups, their supporters, to go on the streets to attack other people, innocent civilians. I think what needs to be done is, like Kofi Annan, who is mediating the talks right now, said, both leaders need to be proactive and to call an end to this violence.
Talking about Kofi Annan, he actually said that Kenyans need to resolve this issue for the sake of the Kenyan people and for the sake of Africa and for the world. What is the really meaning of those words?
I think rightly so. I think it's going to take Kenyans to solve the problems of Kenya. If the Kenyans can't do it themselves, then it's going to take an international community. And I think in this case, an international community has a role to play because we saw it happen in Liberia. And between 2004 and 2005, they had a caretaker government. So if they could call for a caretaker government, maybe in Kenya, because there's too much distrust between Raila Odinga and President Mwai Kibaki. So what they need is an arbitrator, somebody to come in and maybe help to play the role of a mediator.
By looking at the bigger picture, what is the implication of the developments in Kenya across the continent of Africa?
I think it really sends a very, very negative signal across the whole continent because Kenya was looked at as a country, as a beacon of hope for other democracies in Africa. So when things go bad in Kenya, we should not stand out there and just ignore what's going on because Kenya means a lot to, for instance, the landlocked countries. You have Uganda, you have Rwanda, you have Burundi. All these countries, their livelihood entirely depends on Kenya. So if things are not working in Kenya, it means people are going to starve. People are not. It's not business as usual in some of those countries.
In terms of the weaknesses in the system that may have led to what we are seeing today, what are some of those you can identify that can probably be also seen in other stable African countries?
Of course, it was. I think the electoral process was okay, but the person who counted the votes, the people who are in charge of the votes, led to what we are seeing today. I think what needs to be done is maybe to have an independent kind of electoral commission or even have an international body that is independent, that is not part or affiliated to any of the political parties in Kenya. So once they have that in place, maybe they can hope for something better. When you look at, I'll give you another example of the Ukraine revolution. That's what happened. The electoral process was okay, but when it came to announcing the results, somebody announced something different. So,
Mr. Ndiho, should the developments in Kenya send kind of a signal to other stable African countries that there's need to make certain fundamental changes such that they don't have to witness what has been witnessed in Kenya in some years to come?
Absolutely. I think first and foremost, I think our institutions, African institutions, most of those countries have weak institutions in place. So what they need to do is maybe to strengthen some of the institutions that can guard against such things that we are seeing in Kenya.
Now, how can that be attained given that everyone who's in power today enjoys the powers vested upon him by the Constitution, and actually the weak institutions help them to entrench themselves in power and to rule as they please?
You know, there is a saying that it's the people who give you the power, and it's the same people who can take away that power. So in the situation, in Kenya's situation, the people demanded a change and they gave power to somebody who is different, but the powers might be decided that that wasn't right at the time, so they decided to hang on power. So those are some of the things that people need to be proactive about. If the people demand something, then they should have it.
It's
because
all about empowering the people.
Absolutely.
The people have to realize the power they have.
Right, because if it's not them, then who is going to determine the outcome of the election?
Thank you very much, Mr. Paul Ndiho, for your insight. We'll certainly be watching these developments very closely. Thanks a lot once again to Mr. Paul Ndiho, analyst and a strategist based here in Washington, D.C.